American History X, first requested to me by Katariina and directed by Tony Kaye, is a 1998 crime drama film that takes place in Venice, California. The film follows two brothers played by Edward Norton and Edward Furlong, who join the neo-Nazi movement that seeks to diminish all the other races. Edward Norton's character Derek eventually ends up in a prison, and his brother Danny is assigned to write a paper about his rehabilitation. The two analyze where things went wrong and how they should pick up the pieces moving forward. As hate continues to rule their lives, their goal is to understand why. Alright, so American History X is a film that I have seen before, but I'm not entirely sure that I watched it from start to finish in one sitting. It's been a long time since I've seen it, other than now, obviously, so it's kind of hard to say definitively, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. I remembered the bigger picture, the backdrop, if you will, but I don't think I just truly recalled the small details that make this film exceptional, one that has lasted for 20 plus years like it has. I'm just going to say this early, and I think you guys that have seen the movie probably know this. This is a dark movie, a very dark movie, and it's an incredibly difficult one to watch. There's just so much hate coming from almost every direction that it becomes exhausting. There are very few characters that you'll like, if any, probably none, honestly, and almost certainly none that you'll identify with in any major way. But it still ends up being a riveting experience because it sheds light on a lot of really important issues. I found American History X to be incredibly insightful. The primary message that I took from it was that hate is baggage. Almost every character holds on to a lot of hate for the majority of the film, and it's slowly but surely killing them. Whether they're holding on to hate for people that are different from them, or they're holding on to hate for a family member that wronged them in some way, it ends up controlling and eventually destroying their lives. The characters often hold so much hate for others that it turns them into something that isn't even really human anymore, something that lacks any semblance of compassion whatsoever. It takes everything that made them who they are and corrupts it into something much more nefarious and twisted. Another consistent theme here is that hate is cyclical. The two main characters are the brothers, Danny and Derek, and a big reason they live such destructive, hateful lifestyles is because it's what they grew up around. Their father preached racist rhetoric and twisted and molded their minds into something terrible, and then the cycle continued with Derek influencing his younger brother Danny to follow down the same destructive path that he did, the neo-Nazi path. The film makes a deliberate effort to show you how fathers are influenced by sons, younger brothers by older brothers, and even people in general being influenced by their environment. There's a reason this ridiculous logic takes so long to die, because it's embedded itself into generations like a cancer. It takes someone to break the cycle, or it just never ends. For the majority of the film, you're really going to hate these characters. They do despicable things, and they preach hatred in the name of advancing their ideology. However, part of the film's core is a theme of redemption. Edward Norton's character specifically undergoes a transformation process where he's forever changed by his experiences. There's a way that his character evolves and grows as he's introduced to new environments that change his perspective. He's forced to grow because he's no longer surrounded by his neo-Nazi friends that have played a key role in twisting his mind into something dark and evil. Derek and Danny both evolve as the film progresses. And there's actually a narration aspect that has Danny sort of narrating things as he's writing his paper that sort of puts the whole process into perspective from the point of view of Danny himself. I think this direction works well because it just helps us make sense of the complex nature of personal growth through the eyes of one of the main characters. It works really well, actually. There's a few very good performances here, but to me, the clear standout was Ed Norton. He played a complex character that was very easy to hate, but later on, reasonably easy to sympathize with as well, despite all the terrible things he's done in his life. You can't sympathize with the previously racist and hateful logic that he preaches, but as the film shows you more about his past and upbringing, you begin seeing how he was molded by that cyclical, hateful environment that he just couldn't escape. There's a great personal growth for Derek as a character, and the catalyst for growth that changes him is made abundantly clear for the viewer, and that's a great thing. I always love when a filmmaker takes a character that's vile, but attempts to humanize them by explaining how they actually became that type of person. Edward Norton played the character with a believability that's engaging in a really dark and twisted kind of way. He plays a major role in establishing that dark, yet super gritty tone the film brings to screen like pretty much the whole time. What I also liked about this film is that it's full of consequences. There's not a betrayal of those gritty tones that ground this entire experience. There are consequences for all the characters' actions that are fueled by that hatred and bigotry that I've mentioned, and we see the results of those consequences as the characters' lives only become more difficult. The stakes are high because the film continually shows the darker side of humanity and to those characters specifically. It would betray the realism the movie strives for if the characters just got away with everything they did, but they don't. It puts the viewer in a difficult position because on one hand, you're like, good, they're terrible people, and they deserve to face the consequences for these terrible actions. And then on the other hand, you're like, damn, this is getting kind of dark. I kind of feel bad for them because they were seemingly molded by this environment that destroyed their lives and took them down a destructive path. It's a really complex feeling for the viewer. It's a complex position to be in. Again though, this movie is extremely difficult to watch, and it's rarely, if ever, going to make you feel good about human nature. It's an honest telling of how violence and bigotry can produce a domino effect that eventually creates chaos. The ending is a perfect example of that, and I won't go into it now, obviously, but I'll just say that I felt it perfectly encapsulated the major themes of the story. It felt consistent with the cycle that had come before and how cancerous it all felt. But that's all I'll say about it for now. Regardless, let's take a look at the pros cons list. As for the pros, I thought American History X delivered a dark, enlightening story about human nature, excellent writing and character development, an awesome performance by Ed Norton, probably a career best, and a fitting ending. As for the cons, honestly, nothing. I really love this film and I can't say anything bad about it. I'm going to give American History X a 10 out of 10 and recommend you check it out if you haven't already. Just remember that it's super dark and you're not going to walk away from it feeling good. It's a high quality piece of drama that's honest but not uplifting. So have you guys seen American History X? What did you think of it? And if not, let me know why not. And also let me know your favorite Ed Norton movie. For me, it's probably this. This is definitely one of the best requests I've done this far. And this performance was probably the best I've seen from him, like I mentioned. Either way, this is WillFoxification signing off. See you in the next review.